Hi everyone and welcome to my Game Week 10 transfer plans. In this video, we're going to discuss my Game Week 9 score and whether the triple captain was a failure or a success. We're also going to go through my Game Week 10 team, highlighting the potential issues, which links to the most important part of this video, the transfers. If you're like me, you have a striker up front who is stinking up the place, not scoring any points. In this video, I do a deep dive looking at alternative strikers, and guess what? There's loads that are scoring and racking up points. We need one of those in our team. I'll also discuss potential alternatives to Gabriel if he is out long term. Now, if this sounds good to you, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. I'd love for this video to get at least 50 likes. Come on, let's make this happen. First up, we're going to talk about that magnificent goalkeeper, Sales. After his heroic performance the game week before, 11 points, he's backed it up with a 5-pointer. Can you believe he got an assist? Yes, the clean sheet was gone pretty early in the game, which I was disappointed about, but the assist was gorgeous, so I'll be happy with that 5-pointer. We take that to the bank. Trent, unfortunately, with back-to-back blanks, a 1-pointer for a premium defender, it's not ideal. We're going to talk a bit more in detail about him later on. It was away to Arsenal, so let's not get carried away here. One of the most difficult fixtures of the league. Just to add a little bit more about Trent, I'm not too concerned. He's blanked in the last 2 game weeks, but the fixtures have been Arsenal away and Chelsea at home. 2 incredibly tricky games. He's still outscoring the majority of midfielders around his price point, so there's not too much concerns for me. What I have noticed with Trent under Slot, which is completely different from Klopp. Under Klopp, we could be winning 2-0, losing 2-0. Trent's position was advanced, very aggressive, it didn't matter. Which meant you've got better XG and XA, but you're sacrificing the clean sheet potential. With Slot, Trent will be different positions depending on the game state. If it's tight 0-0, very difficult fixture, Trent will be tucked in a bit more closer to his centre backs. If it's a fixture that we're losing or it's an opponent that we're going to be dominating, Trent will be much more attacking further upfield. So as I said, you gain with Slot more potential with the clean sheets, which we've seen in the start of the season. You might lose some XG and XA. What I will say, the Arsenal game demoed this to perfection. When we were losing 2-1, immediately Trent was allowed permission to bomb forward, and you can see on the heat map, which is taken from the Arsenal game, some of the positions he got the ball in, very advanced, where he can cause havoc. As soon as it went 2-2, straight back again. So this is a little bit different. You could argue it curves his attacking potential, but I think when you balance it with the clean sheet potential and his price point, especially with the 2 home games coming up and extra good fixtures coming up in the long run, I think he's a player. It's not an emergency to sell him. He's okay to stay in your team, unless of course you're freeing up money to bring in elite players like Palmer and Saka, then that way it makes sense to me. A good pick. I wouldn't panic about him too much at the moment. Beside him was Gabriel, so realistically for me to come out of this game well, I needed a 0-0, which wasn't going to happen. But Gabriel had a decent performance, unfortunately had to come off of an injury, which we're going to discuss again later on in more details, because if it is long term, we need to sell him. And finally, a clean sheet in my defense. Thank you, Lewis. We've been waiting for this for some time. Manchester City have been trolling us, conceding silly goals in the majority of their games, but finally against Southampton, they kept a clean sheet. My Game Week 8 transfer, Phil Foden, was nearly a success. The minutes tick, because I mean, it wasn't certain with Pep Guardiola. Foden has been in and out of the team, hardly played their minutes, but guess what? He got the 90 minutes, so I was really happy. So that was a tick. Got the central position, another tick. Unfortunately though, he still blanked. No returns, he had 3 shots, played really well, he had good XG and good XA, so everything was in place apart from that return. Palmer was my other transfer last week, so I'm happy he was a success, especially as I got rid of Saka, who did return, so that wasn't ideal. But Palmer looks like a player you can just leave in your team and forget. Rodgers, for all my bragging, I hyped him up big time last week saying he was the bargain of the season. Yeah, he didn't even reach 60 minutes this week, unfortunately. We didn't even get a 2-pointer. We got a 1-pointer, came off early, but not too worried about that. At his price, it's going to happen once in a while. Last up on my midfield is Mbeumo with a magnificent 15-pointer. Him and Palmer clutching it up for me in midfield as the other 2 blanked. And Mbeumo, very fortunate with the second goal. Looked like a cross to me, but you'll take it. When you own the player, you will take it. Still got good fixtures, not a problem in my team. He's been one of the steady performers, one of the few in my team who I look at and think, yeah, I'm happy you're in there. Don't want to ship you out. Moving up front, I made a triple transfer last week. So my last transfer in was Raul Jimenez. You know what? It was a blank, but he had a very good game. I watched the Fulham game and I looked at his statistics. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about him. I really like him. He's playing really well. Fulham are playing really well. No issues here at all. We go again next week and see if he can provide. His assist potential is just as good as his scoring potential. So for me, he's a bargain striker. I'm really happy about him. Haaland up next. I used the chip. Triple captain. Now we need to discuss this. Get in the comments and let me know, is this a failure or is it a success? I've been playing FPL for a long time, used loads of triple captains. I've had some good successes, some bad failures. And what I mean by failures, I'm talking 1-pointers when a player gets injured, comes off in the 23rd minute. I've also had some huge returns where you're reaching their 60, 70 pointers. I'd class that as an ultra success. But in this game week, we got one return. I think we were very unlucky. His XG was the second highest XG since joining Manchester City. I mean, it was 2.33. He should have got near 3 goals. He saw the misses. It was unreal. So it just sums up at times you need luck to fall on you at times, because if you look at the outcome, you're going to be like, oh, we've wasted the chip. We only got 6 points. We didn't even get no bonus points, mainly due to him missing big chances. But then you need to flip it. The people that have saved it and use it, they might get 2 points. You really don't know. It's hard to judge it. The people that used it against Ipswich, they lucked out. They got a hat trick, bonus points. That's gone. We can't repeat that. But we were unfortunate to get one return. So my take on it is, it's a bit of a meh. It's not a failure, but it's nowhere near a success. Let me know in the comments what you think. And last up, in my starting 11, now this guy's becoming a huge problem, and we're going to discuss strikers and transfers in more detail later. So stick around for that. I've got some incredible alternatives because I personally think he's the biggest problem in my team. His chances and his XG are starting to go down. But more worryingly, he's not even playing 90 minutes. He got taken off and the player who came on scored. Never a good look. There's a small possibility, obviously I'm just speculating here, he might not even start the next game, which is a gorgeous fixture. When we brought him in, we had him in mind to be starting all of these games, but confidence is low. And it could reach the stage where the manager thinks, maybe I'll just take him out of the limelight just to give him a little breather, then bring him back in. Again, I'm speculating here, he could start and return. You never know, but for me, he's a monster problem. 2 points. Going to the bench, normally I skip the goalkeeper, but believe it or not, Fabianski is actually starting games. He got a 3-pointer. At one stage, he was on for a 7-pointer before United scored, but he's back in contention. Remains to be seen whether it's long-term or was it just for this game. Semenyo with a 1-pointer, Mykolenko with a 2-pointer, and Greaves with 0 as he's injured. Overall, 64 points. It's not too bad. Let me know in the comments if he scored higher or lower. Let's have a look how we're lining up for game week 10, starting with this legend here. Sales against West Ham at home, predicted to score 4.27 points. Let's hope he can get a clean sheet and give us that 6-pointer. I would take it. Or maybe he'll score this week. I mean, he did get an assist in game week 9. All right, let's not get carried away here. Let's just try to take the clean sheet. In defense, I'll be starting Trent against Brighton at home. He's expected to score 4.27 points. I'm hoping we can get an attacking return like we discussed earlier on. Beside him is an important one, Gabriel. Now, we need to know if he's injured or not, and we're going to discuss this in a little bit detail in the transfer section later on, because if he is injured, we need to remove him, and I've got 2 perfect alternatives. And last in my defense is Lewis playing Bournemouth away. Can Manchester City keep back-to-back clean sheets? In midfield, Phil Foden gets another starting spot. Bournemouth away seems a decent attacking fixture for a midfielder of his caliber. All I need is for him to start and play central again, and I'm more than confident of an attacking return. Beside him is Palmer. This guy is a machine. If you look at his predicted points, he's predicted to score 6 points. He's possibly going to get more than that. It's almost an attacking return per game. Manchester United away. It's actually a good fixture. Ten Hag is hanging on to his life as the manager. This could be his last game, because if Chelsea turn up, they could really punish that United defense. I don't mind this matchup for Rodgers. Spurs, the way they play, the way they defend, I think Rodgers could have a decent game here. Let's hope he gets more than 60 minutes this time, and let's hope we get an attacking return. And last up is Mbumo, who's playing Fulham away. He's only predicted to score 4.37, which I think is pretty low for him. But then again, it is Fulham away. It's a difficult fixture, so totally understandable. Let's hope he gets one of those dodgy crosses in again, and you never know, it could just land top corner. Up front, Raul Jimenez versus Brentford at home. Brentford's defending has been a bit suspect this season, and Fulham have been excellent. I expect Raul Jimenez to give us an attacking return in this fixture, although he is only predicted to score 4.19 in this game. Haaland versus Bournemouth. I think it's a good fixture for him. Now in our luck, we're not triple captaining him, so watch him score a hat-trick. And last up in this team, he's currently in the starting 11, is the problematic Calvert-Lewin. Now we're going to discuss him in the transfer section, which is coming up in a minute. I've got some good alternatives and I am so tempted to get rid of him. Before we get into that, we're going to discuss the subs quickly in the captaincy. So the subs, Fabianski, I did say earlier on, he's actually starting to play games, so he potentially is an option if I wanted to use him. I'm not 100% sure he is starting this game, so let's wait and see. But Semenyo against Manchester City is not the best fixture, hence why he's first sub. Mykolenko against Southampton away. Last up is Greaves, but he's injured, so let's not worry about him. Captaincy is currently on Haaland and vice captaincy on Palmer. I could easily swap that around. Right, it's transfer time. Now, the two players highlighted on the screen are the players that are causing me concern. Let's start off Gabriel. First and foremost, he came off against Liverpool in such a big game with a knee injury, and you know it could be something serious because players like him don't just come off the pitch. He plays the majority of the minutes for Arsenal, so something could be up. Now, we need to wait and see if we actually get information because we know how Arteta is. He's a liar. He won't give the opponents no help at all. But if we do find out Gabriel is out injured long term, I think I will address it. I only have one free transfer and 0.6 in the bank, but I would possibly change him, mainly because I've got Greaves as one dead position in my squad, and I'm relying on Mykolenko and Semenyo. So in theory, I could bench Gabriel for a couple of weeks if it was going to be short term. But if it's looking to be long term, it's a problem. I would make moves, and the two players that's come up in my mind are Ait-Nouri, which a lot of people went last week, and very well done to you if you did, because he got you an attack in return, or it's Vardiol, who's just kept a clean sheet for Manchester City, so I would be doubling up on Manchester City. I still think they're good. I know they've been trolling us conceding goals, but I do think with their upcoming fixtures, there's more clean sheets for us. They're the two players that stick out for me. If it wasn't for them, I'd more than likely keep it to a very cheap player and just use the money in midfield. With Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it's a more of a trickier situation. He's not injured. In theory, he could start the next game. Now, what makes this transfer even more tricky to do is these fixtures are still good. When you have a look, he's got Southampton away next, arguably one of the worst teams in the Premier League. Then he's got West Ham away, again, another suspect team. I know they've come off a good result against United, who are a team who are possibly even worse than West Ham at the moment. Then you've got Brentford at home, a very poor defensive team. Then we've got Manchester United away, who I just spoken about. So the fixtures are pretty good, making it almost feel like, why are you using a transfer on a player like him? The reason is the alternatives are racking up the points, and you can't just sit there and keep giving him time week after week after week thinking, yeah, surely against Southampton, surely against West Ham, surely. Well, no, these guys are not surely. They're doing it every week. Now, these are the four I've put up. There's even more cheap strikers. We've been blessed this season with some lovely cheap strikers. I mean, even Delap, Vardy, I think, is it Larson? There's a couple of other players I didn't even put in this, but these are the four I've highlighted to discuss in this video. Now, Chris Wood, he's just having that moment, isn't he? Like, statistics speak for itself. He cannot stop returning. He's leading the line incredible, playing with so much confidence, and Nottingham Forest, I'm playing incredibly well and started the season so good. Since Nuno has come into the league, Chris Wood has been the second highest scorer after that machine Haaland if we don't include penalties. So it tells you where he's at. He's flying, and at 6.4 million, he's just a player that's becoming more and more difficult to avoid. Every week, I just see him scoring and returning. And I haven't even mentioned that he takes penalties. So for me, he's the front runner. Beside him, we've got Welbeck, another player having a resurgence at the latter part of his career, and I love to see it. He's leading the line for Brighton, so good. I was worried last week when I saw him come off injured with that back problem, but it turned out to be nothing. It's good to see him. Again, 5.9 million. Cunha at 6.5 million is another brilliant alternative. Another player starting to return. The fixtures are getting good. Wolves had a nightmare start to the season, but we'll look at their fixtures in a minute and you will see they're becoming much better. And not to be disrespectful to the Wolves, I'm not even sure how they got him. I really rate Cunha really highly. He can play across the front three, fast, he's got the tricks, he's got an eye for goal. I rate him, and I think he's going to be a nice forward at this price point. And last up, Wissa just come back from injury straight into the goals at 5.8 million again. Now you can see why I'm getting so frustrated with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And it might not be Calvert-Lewin. You might own Solanke, who's stinking up the place as well. You might want to bring that money down and bring in one of these players who are returning and use that money in midfield. Now, these are four perfect alternatives, all at the right price point. I can get to all of them. So let's see if we can narrow it down by looking at the fixtures. Let's look at Nottingham Forest's fixtures. West Ham at home, gorgeous. Newcastle at home, decent. Arsenal away, horrid. And then Ipswich at home, gorgeous. Some are saying we've missed the boat with Chris Wood. I'm not quite so sure. Those fixtures still look good to me, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get 2 returns from the 4 fixtures. Brighton's fixtures do almost eliminate Welbeck because Liverpool away, Manchester City at home are grim. Bournemouth away, Southampton at home, gorgeous fixtures after that. So if you can stomach the Liverpool and Manchester City fixtures, then he's definitely an option. For me, that puts him almost bottom of the pile. Wolves' fixtures, I did say earlier on, they've had a nightmare start. Now it's their turn to get a good run of fixtures. Crystal Palace at home, Southampton at home, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home. The fixtures are there. So for me, that moves Cunha up ahead of Welbeck and closer to Wood. Those 2 are the sort of front runners at the moment. But we've got more information that's going to help us narrow it down to the best one. And then Wissa, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, Leicester at home. Very good. Those fixtures are good, and it brings him above Welbeck, but maybe below the other 2. So with just the fixtures, get in the comments and let me know which one of these would you pick. I have more stats to help us narrow these strikers down to get the best one. This table is taken from the Scout members area, and I've created it myself. I've put in all the cheap strikers, and I've put in all the statistics I wanted to compare them with, and I've ordered it in goal attempts. So you can see Cunha is at the top with 27 goal attempts, and you can see Welbeck is next with 25, Jimenez with 23, then we've got Lewin, who we want to get rid of, with 21. So he did put the numbers in at the start. This was what's frustrating us some more, but the numbers look like they're going down, and maybe his minutes are going down. Now, if we look at shots per minute, we're talking Cunha at 26, Welbeck 29. Look at Calvert-Lewin, it was at 36. That's not as good as the others. Then we've got Solanke. If you own him, he's at 41 minutes. Not looking good at all. Solanke is just as much of a problem as Calvert-Lewin here. So you definitely need to be considering these other forwards, because I'm not quite sure how long you can hold on for. Then we look at the chances created. Cunha is flying away with this, double digits 15. So he's almost getting chances created like a midfielder. Then he's getting the returns and goal attempts like a striker. This again maybe puts him up just ahead of Wood. Wood's goal attempts is at 19. His shots per minute is not as high. I mean, we do know Nottingham Forest are not gun-ho. They're more of a defensive team. Naturally, with their manager being a goalkeeper in his footballing career, is a bit more solid, making sure that the back is always protected. But when you look at the big chances scored, you see that Welbeck and Chris Wood and Wissa are clean on this with 4 goals. So looking at this table and the fixtures and the price points, it does make me think it's a straight shootout between Chris Wood and Cunha. Now, I know it's not an ideal situation. I would be getting rid of a player that in theory is not injured, should be playing, and it's got Southampton a good fixture. But I am starting to think, how long can we hold on for? The more we do it, the more we stay patient, the more your opponents in your mini leagues, they have these players. They're scoring, they're returning. Now, I know whoever we bring in cannot return every game week. We know that's not possible. That doesn't exist. Even Haaland, the machine, had 3 blanks in a row. But then you have to flip it. How long can you be patient for? If Calvert-Lewin or Solanke keep blanking and we keep being patient, we're just losing points. I mean, since game week 5, I went Calvert-Lewin, Loads went Wood. I think the point difference is 30 points plus. That's huge. There's always the fear in the back of your mind. You're going to get rid of the player, he's going to start returning, and the player you bring in could fail. Yes, that's a possibility. If we're looking at the historical stats to try and help us predict the upcoming points, Calvert-Lewin looks a big problem for me. And I, for one, am looking to ship him out. I'm not confident at all. I've only got 1 free transfer. I'd love to roll this game week, but it's looking almost certain that I'm going to get rid of him. Now, we've spoken at length about making transfers, and I'm going to say, don't make them yet. There's midweek fixtures. The majority of the Premier League teams are playing, as you can see below. The point I'm getting at, wait, you saw last week, Loads went early with Son. All of a sudden, the press conference, he's out. Definitely don't want that, especially as it's been a tough season so far. 100% wait, get the information, and then make your move. I hope you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, I hope you found the video useful. Get in the comments to let me know if you're going to keep Dominic Solanke or Calvert-Lewin in your team, or are you fed up and going to ship them out? Let me know who you're changing them for. Also, before you jump off to your next video, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and I can only do that with your help, so I'd really appreciate that. And last thing for me to say is good luck, and see you on my next video.